Do you think the Steelers will go undefeated all season?
Will go is the operative word. I did not think they would. I mean, they started out the season, Giants, Broncos, Texans, Eagles. So what? They're 4-0, right? At this point, I still can't say will, but they have a damn good chance to do it. Guys, this is what I'm looking at, okay? This is what I'm looking at. Since those first 4 games, which are easy games by NFL standards, right? They played the Browns, and that's a divisional opponent. And they've gotten much better, and the Browns were hot coming into that game. They beat the Browns 38-7. Their other divisional opponents, the Ravens, they had to go on the road to face Baltimore, beat them. And the Bengals, I thought that was kind of a trap game, sort of, right? And they couldn't practice because of COVID, right? They had a bunch of guys, including their quarterback, couldn't practice. 36-10. They're curb stomping their divisional rivals, except for the Ravens, who you don't curb stomp, right? But they beat them on the road. They also beat the Titans when the Titans were undefeated. The Steelers are not falling into traps. Even against the Cowboys, they scratched out that win in a game that was tougher than it ought to have been.
Yeah.
And they're beating the hell out of divisional rivals, and they're even beating Baltimore on the road and an undefeated team like the Titans. Now, look at their schedule. It does get tougher because they don't have gimmies like the first 4 games. They only have 2 of those. Jacksonville, and you heard Coach, they ain't falling into that trap, right? And Washington. Otherwise, they have Baltimore again. But this time they're at home. They already beat Baltimore on the road. The Bills, they're on the road against the Bills. That's a game they could lose. They have the Colts at home. That's a game they can lose. I expect them to beat up the Bengals and the Browns just like they already did. So I'm really looking at the Ravens, the Bills, and the Colts. And I think if you beat the Ravens on the road, you can do it again at home. And I think the Bills are a team and the Colts are teams that probably they lose to one of those 2 teams at least. Maybe this is a 14-2 team, but there's a damn good chance they actually run the table.
I disagree. And to be quite honest with you, as a diehard Steelers fan, I'm hoping that you're wrong. I don't want them to go undefeated. I think the more perfection they put forth in the regular season, it sets them up for a fall. How many times throughout his illustrious Hall of Fame, 2 Super Bowl championship career, Ryan Clark, have we seen Big Ben and there were expectations that were not met? Now, when the expectations are not necessarily there, he rises, he plays big. He's played big in big moments. I'm not trying to throw any shade on him in that regard, but I have found as a Steelers fan that when you absolutely positively expect them to do something and all the pressure is there, they don't rise to the occasion. I don't want this team to go undefeated. I expect them to lose about 2 games the rest of the way, and I hope that I'm right. They got a game against Buffalo. They got an upcoming game against Baltimore first. They got a game against Indy. They got a game on the road, last game of the season, against Cleveland. I think they will definitively lose one of those games, possibly 2. I'm just of the mindset I want to have at least 1 loss, Ryan. That way they could go into the postseason ready to go, as opposed to being undefeated, unblemished, 16-0, and then you go into the postseason. I'm going to be like, oh, damn it. I'm going to be worried as hell. It's strictly emotional. I know it, but that's how I feel. I would be very nervous if they walked into the playoffs undefeated. Very nervous.
Ryan, you look perplexed.
Of all of the backwards fans takes that you could have came on First Take with, you picked that one? I've been telling
That's
you
how I feel,
all
Ryan.
season, Stephen A, man.
That's how I feel.
Stephen A, listen, I thought I was the one that made a living backpedaling. You've been backpedaling all season. You started out strong with your fandom. The more they win, the more you start to crouch. The more you start to cover up. You look like a defensive receiver.
It's a real Steelers fan.
Stephen A, now, like, I'm going to tell you like this, and to say, as a real Steeler fan, this is, Stephen A., this is what hurt me, though. This is where you hurt me. To say as a real Steeler fan that when you expect them to do something, they don't do it, it's crazy. We got 6 championships. 6 of them.
I'm not talking about the days of Bradshaw. Stop that. Stop that.
Ryan's voice
Stop
went up
that
like
on
he wanted
national
to fight.
television. I'm not talking about Bradshaw and Swan and Stallworth and Lambert and Ham and Mel Blunt and me, Joe Green and L.C. Greenwood and those boys. I'm not talking about. I'm talking about from your generation. How many times have we expected something and y'all didn't show up?
When you expect them. Don't y'all me. Don't you y'all me. Don't you y'all me.
In this generation.
I got that. Don't make me walk to my closet and get that ring.
I know you didn't play. I know you didn't play. Were you on that field when Ike Taylor gave up that 80-yard touchdown pass to Tim Tebow and Demarius Thomas? Were you on that sideline?
Yeah, I was out there. I was out there. Stop bringing up old stuff. That's what's wrong with you. Anyway,
it hurt my heart.
Back to the conversation
I still haven't recovered.
I'm going to talk to Max because Max came here to be a professional every day like he always does. I agree with you, Max. When you look at the early part of the season, I do feel like that was the time for them to lose. They haven't been great every game. And I've said this on this show. Everybody has a bad game, or you have letdowns, or you have spurts and moments where you're not playing your best. But the Steelers have found ways to win, which is why they are in this position. But listen to Coach Tomlin talk. What I know about him is when you win, he finds ways to make sure you focus on the small, on the little things that you didn't do right, that you could have done right, that could have helped you win bigger, or that could have lost the game because of those things you did. So we hone in on those, and you focus on those to be better. And when you lose, he finds ways to build you up. So right now, this team is being coached harder than they would be if they were losing games, because he's trying to make sure they understand where they need to be to win a championship. That's why you hear the rhetoric on the Jacksonville Jaguars that you can lose any game. Because he understands this, Max. If you beat the Jacksonville Jaguars and you go on Thanksgiving Day and you beat the Baltimore Ravens, you've essentially won your division. So now you're fighting for that #1 spot, and then you focus on the Bills, you focus on the Colts, and you go week by week and you win these games, and that's how you end up 16-0.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.